Sweeping federal layoffs have already begun amid the government shutdown, but a Clinton-appointed judge put them to a halt, filing a temporary restraining order against the Trump administration.
All right, let's bring in White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, who was just with the president moments ago, so we'll have the latest news from him. We want to ask you about the Putin phone call, which I assume has been concluded. But want to ask you, first of all, about Judge Susan Illman, a Clinton appointee, district judge on the federal bench in San Francisco, who has yet again implemented a nationwide temporary restraining order on what the White House believes is its constitutional authority to cut down the federal government during the shutdown.
Well, the White House believes this, John, because it's just the truth. The president is the head of the executive branch, and therefore he has the right to hire and fire executive branch employees. And unfortunately, the administration has taken the tough step to lay off thousands of workers across the federal government because the Democrats have selfishly chosen to shut our government down in the name of partisan politics. And now you have this far left district court Democrat-appointed judge who literally just uses politics from the bench and has no legal rationale for this nationwide temporary restraining order, and she is now blocking the administration from doing what the Supreme Court has already affirmed the President of the United States can do. In fact, this very same judge out of liberal San Francisco in May illegally ruled that the administration and the president does not have the right to fire executive branch employees, and the Supreme Court smacked this judge down in July. She is wrong. She is doing this for political reasons, and the Democrats know that they can judge shop, they can court shop, they can go to this woman because she is a far left hack and she uses politics from the bench. We are very confident we are going to win this temporary restraining order, and the Trump administration will continue to try to fight through this shutdown and get the government back open so we can get people back to work.
All right, Karoline, Sandra here. Good to have you back on America Reports. I haven't seen White House response yet, but you can provide it to us here. To these unauthorized pro-Palestinian political messages praising Hamas, attacking President Donald Trump and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way. They were broadcast over these public address systems and terminals at 4 airports, including one in Pennsylvania. I want to get your reaction to that as Martha MacCallum sat down with the New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani here in the Fox studios yesterday. And when asked, he refused to call for Hamas to lay down their weapons. Karoline, listen here and we'll get your reaction.
Do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety.
What is White House reaction to all of that, Karoline?
Well, that's a classic case of I don't want to answer the question because I know it's wildly unpopular. And the Democrat Party, this interview proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And that's why President Trump worked so hard to end this conflict in the Middle East. It was President Trump who brought home the last living hostage out of Gaza, Edon Alexander, who has since been reunited with his family in New Jersey. It's President Trump who is actually pushing for peace. And I would like to add, where are all of the Free Palestine protesters? It's President Trump who freed Palestine, literally. And they are now very much quiet because why? They can't stand President Trump. And that is the basis of the Democrat Party today. They don't stand for anything except for catering to their far left base, which, as I said, includes anti-Semites, includes Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals who they want to let off freely to roam in American streets.
Karoline, let me come back to the shutdown if I could, because the Democrats have been saying, look, they will only pass a continuing resolution if it includes an extension of the Obamacare enhanced tax credits in it. Well, Senator John Thune has held out an offer to the Democrats saying, we'll give you a vote on those tax credits if you agree to reopen the government. Here's what he said a short time ago.
I've said we are willing to have the conversation. I've said if you need a vote, we can guarantee you get a vote by a date certain. I can't guarantee it's going to pass. I can guarantee you that there will be a process and you will get a vote.
Don't forget, it was the Democrats who initially voted to sunset these enhanced Obamacare tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act. They are designed to sunset at the end of December of this year. Do you expect the Democrats will or won't take the leader up on his offer?
Well, we certainly hope so, because the president and the White House's position on this Democrat shutdown has not changed. All they need to do is vote to reopen the government. That is all we are asking for. That's all Republicans want. We want to reopen the government, get people back to work, get people paid. And the Democrats are just so selfishly using politics to shut down the government and hold the entire country hostage. We now have thousands of flights across the country that have been delayed and canceled because air traffic controllers and TSA agents are not getting paid through this shutdown. President Trump had to tap into tariff revenue to get WIC money out the door for vulnerable women, infant, and children. President Trump and the White House used a creative solution to get our troops paid. The president is bending over backwards to do what's right by the American people, and the Democrats are continuing to play partisan politics. We hope every day that sensible Democrats with just a little bit of courage to stand against Bernie Sanders and AOC, who, according to the CNN town hall last night, are clearly the new leadership of the Democrat Party, stand against that radical nonsense and vote to reopen the government. And then we can have serious conversations about health care, about immigration, about our economy. That's what this administration wants to do. President Trump wants to fix our broken health care system. That's why he's had a number of announcements with major drug companies to bring down the cost of prescriptions and pharmaceutical drugs in this country for American consumers. He's more than committed to talking about that. But first, we must reopen the government. And it's deeply unfortunate Democrats voted today for the 10th time to shut down the government for the 16th day in a row.
Karoline, appreciate that. Could you provide us an update on this phone call with Vladimir Putin? The last we heard from President Trump himself was through a Truth Social post just over an hour ago. I'm speaking to President Putin now. The conversation, he said at that time, was ongoing, a lengthy one, and I will report the contents, as will President Putin, at its conclusion. Thanks for your attention to this matter. This is one day ahead of President Trump meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Can you give us an update on that call with Putin?
Yes, of course. I just left the Oval Office and spoke with the president, the Secretary of State, and the vice president about the call. And the president, first of all, deserves tremendous credit for how much time and effort he has put into solving peace in the Middle East, which everyone said he wouldn't be able to do. There were many doubters about the president and his national security team, and they are getting it done. And now with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war, which the president continues to be wholeheartedly committed to ending, it was a very good and productive call between the president and President Putin. They discussed many issues. President Putin congratulated the president for solving peace in the Middle East. They also discussed, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war, and they have agreed to convene a meeting of their high-level staff next week to continue these very important discussions, which may be followed by yet another meeting between President Trump and President Putin. I believe the president will be putting out his own statement on this matter momentarily, so everyone should keep their eyes on Truth Social. But it was a good and productive call, and then, of course, we will welcome President Zelensky here to the White House again tomorrow so the president can continue those conversations with the Ukrainian side of this conflict as well.
Well, let's hope that this does go somewhere, and we look forward to more coverage on this coming up this afternoon. I just want to hit you with a little bit of breaking news from DHS. You may not have heard of this. This just came out. Apparently, as part of Operation Midway Blitz, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, announced the arrest of Radule Bojovic, an illegal alien from Montenegro who was working as a sworn police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department. Bojovic apparently was encountered during a targeted enforcement action as part of Operation Midway Blitz. DHS reminding it's a felony for an illegal alien to possess a firearm. And this fellow apparently was working as a sworn police officer. I know you might not know much about it, but wondering if we can get an initial reaction.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. I will take your facts as the facts, John, on this one. And it's unsurprising to me to hear this because we've seen various examples of this. There was a superintendent, I believe in the state of Iowa, who was here in this country illegally with a final order of removal. We've seen that New York State has been giving out licenses illegally to illegal aliens with literally, it says, no name given on the driver's license. So these are the cases that happen when you had an administration, the Biden administration, for 4 years that completely neglected the laws of our homeland, that allowed mass invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens, and they have been infiltrated into our communities. So this is another unfortunate example of that, and the Department of Homeland Security is doing incredible work every single day in the face of grave danger and threats, and also Democrats holding their paychecks hostage. We have federal law enforcement who are trying to keep our communities safe, and they are not being paid because of the Democrat Party, but they are doing God's work, and we are very grateful for them, and the president stands behind them 100%.
Karoline, really appreciate you coming back on America Reports. Good to have you here.
Good to see you guys. Thanks.
Thank you for the private briefing. We always appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Come back soon.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.